That is.
All right,
that
can
is
we start
very,
a podcast here before I get flubbed?
I was
Yes.
just about to say it's very eloquently spoken. Now let's talk. Let's talk for 2 hours about how people who like WWE are stupid and hate on them for what they like.
Yeah, right. I mean, hell, you're more than welcome to like WWE, but you're an idiot and you're wrong. 'Cause that's my side of it. So.
Well said.
All right, I'm just doing a regular intro. I'm not doing two. I'm just going to do one regular intro.
Okay.
You're listening to the Pittsburgh Piledriver. What the hell is that? Podcast.
Howdy out there, internet world. Does the coronavirus have you down? Figuratively and maybe literally? Have no fear. I have no idea how many episodes there are, but there are a bunch of episodes of the Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast, usually about 2 hours. So you could probably spend the majority of your time dealing with this coronavirus while listening to the Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast. Throw your cares away. Discard the mucus and the infectious disease and inhale the warm, soothing medication that is the Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast. And if that's not encouraging enough to get your spirits boosted, let me start out with this little fact. Are you ready? Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Alec Ransom, and I am the advocate for the new, reigning, defending, undisputed Cruiserweight champion of the world, Poot the Bar!
Baby, I'm back, whether by hook or by crook.
Throne.
Oh,
Back on the throne.
feels good, man. Feels good.
Things are right with the world. The coronavirus could sweep through Western Pennsylvania, and I can still have a smile on my face because the Cruiserweight title is back in its rightful owner's hands where it belongs. Let's not be remiss to acknowledge the man who made this happen, Beef the Legend. Thank you for chauffeuring that belt back around the majestic waist of its rightful. Oh, he's dead. He died.
I don't know. That's like the most backhanded compliment I've ever received. Yeah. So yeah, congratulations, Poot. I'd say that we could, square up on picks for Takeover or WrestleMania, but ...
Speaking of Takeover and WrestleMania, we would like to thank our sponsors real quick. Sorry, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but we ain't got a lot of time. Casual Gaming Dad, check him out. He's got a website. He does video things. It's involving gaming. Freaking Google it. You can do it. I know you can. Also, Sean Tischler, IWC Clearfield. There's going to be another show coming up in April. You should go. I know we are. It's going to be a blast. Watch some actual entertaining wrestling by wrestlers who actually care about the audience. Whammo. IWC Clearfield. Get to it. That show might happen.
He says.
Whammo. That show might happen. WrestleMania and TakeOver. That's yet to be seen.
Things are bleak.
Things are very bleak, but they're putting off as long as they can.
Are they hoping that this coronavirus is going to be over and done with come Mania time? Like, is that what they think is going to happen?
I have spent an inordinate amount of time kind of tracking this, keeping up with this, because, I am interested. To me, WrestleMania weekend is about way more than WrestleMania. And yes, a big part of it is TakeOver and the Hall of Fame. It's also the camaraderie of my buddy Poot coming down and hanging out for, 4 whole days. It's about getting together with you nitwits and doing a live show.
Oh.
Like, there's and other great wrestling that's happening. So yeah, to me it's a big deal if this gets the kibosh, because this is like a hallmark staple of my year. Like this 4-day weekend that I have is like a cornerstone, right up there with like our trip to Cancun. Or, our trip to Busch Gardens or Christmas. Like, this is something that I look forward to pretty much the rest of the year and go, hey, man, even if WrestleMania lets me down, I know I'm going to have a good time. So
Well, I
that
tell
being
you,
said,
you are a super
Yes.
nerd
yes,
because,
I'm aware.
of that, and the fact that we all do this show also make us super nerds. But I want to pose this question to you and Poot together. Well, I want to pose this question to you and Poot. Eloquence is not one of my things. If it does come to pass that this coronavirus is still spreading and still, just as bad / potential bad at the time that WrestleMania is supposed to happen as it is now, what do you guys think is going to happen? Are they going to end up postponing WrestleMania, or are they going to do a small audience if they're a loud show, or are they going to do, an empty arena show?
As it stands,
Yeah.
I believe that you're allowed, as far as entertainment goes, I read this somewhere, that you're allowed to do 200 people or less. For
That's Washington State. Every place is different.
Okay.
I think I read that Florida was 100.
Okay.
Oh,
well,
man.
Still, regardless, I would see of what McMahon would do. I would see them, if they did postpone WrestleMania until, say, June or July or something like that, or hell, even August. I could see McMahon doing, like, for the traditional WrestleMania weekend, I could see them doing like a retrospective, like, special things. Maybe they would, you know what would be crazy but would be really cool if they did? Have WrestleMania, have it at the NXT arena. Have it there.
Well,
I know it doesn't have the grandeur. It doesn't have all the pomp and circumstance. It doesn't have the set pieces. It doesn't have that. But I'll tell you what, just make it a thing, or pre-record shit. Or McMahon, I could see him going, we're still doing the arena. No one will be there. We're going to do everything anyway.
That worked out great the last time.
Digitally put in a crowd.
Here's the thing, and my wife and I were discussing this.
They'll hire
like,
Lucasfilm for that.
Wrestling. Oh my God, no. Wrestling is before the XFL and March Madness got the kibosh here a couple hours ago. They were talking about doing empty arena shows for those. Okay, cool. But wrestling is much more a fan-centric thing. Like, the fans are literally part of the experience. There's like one match, yeah, you can do an empty arena match, and it's neat and it's fun. Okay, whatever. But there's no way you can do a 7-hour show, because the athletes feed off of the crowd and vice versa. So, like, there's no way. So
I think this coming SmackDown is going to be an eye-opener as far as
Performance Center, yeah.
Yeah, like, it's at the Performance Center, and only essential personnel are going to be there. So
they're not even doing the NXT crowd, because NXT was there last night, and they had a crowd. So I was under the impression that they were still going to have, like, a crowd there, just not like 12,000 people or whatever.
See that article that you posted in the chat about them moving out to the Performance Center? In that article,
did it say only essential people?
Only essential personnel will be in attendance.
Interesting. Okay. So as I was mentioning before I went on my diatribe there, I have been kind of tracking this as one tracks a tropical storm. So there are two. So as of right now, up to the minute, the mayor of Tampa has said that they are not going to speculate about something that's 3 weeks away. Obviously, this is a big thing for the city of Tampa. This is a big boom for tourism.
It's
they
huge.
don't want to say, they don't want to cut it until the very last minute.
Yeah.
But WrestleMania is also a global phenomenon. You always in WrestleMania crowds, you always see the crowds holding the big signs from fucking Norway or Sweden or wherever the fuck ever, and they can't come to the U.S. now until at least the president said 30 days. So so that's definitely not going to happen. So all that being said, so to the minute right now, it is a go with a ... after it, but there are 2, maybe 3 options. Obviously, the empty arena is one. I don't think that that's being discussed at all. The
I would
option,
hope
so
not.
there are two preliminary options that I'm reading right now. One is a double WrestleMania, which is what we fucking have said from the beginning that they need to do. But doing one from the Performance Center on April the 5th, and then doing one later in the year, the one probably June or July. The reason for that is because it's a 7-hour show. In June and July in Tampa, it's going to be 100+ degrees. So due to safety concerns, you cannot expect athletes to do like a 7-hour show.
No.
So they basically break it into two parts. They would have the shall we say less important WrestleMania matches. I've heard that the Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley match would be the headliner of the Performance Center April the 5th piece, and then obviously matches like McIntyre, Lesnar, Roman Reigns, Goldberg,
Cena, Fiend.
and Cena, Fiend, and AJ Styles, Undertaker would all be in Tampa in June. That's option numero uno that they're talking about. The other thing, and this is fucking interesting, man. So the estimate of what the WWE would make in that week, the entire week, not just WrestleMania Day, but the entire week of WrestleMania is right around 78 million, give or take, which is a huge fucking astronomical number. Allegedly.
Did you?
Yes. Good.
Scarecrow, did you just kill the Tin Man over there?
I did. I murdered him good.
So allegedly, the Saudi and the Saudi Arabians have offered $75 million for them to move WrestleMania to Riyadh on April the 5th. So, and that's basically, if you look at flat numbers, they would be earning a little less than that. Now, here's the thing.
Blood money for.
It's already, and this would be the bloodiest, yes. It's already going to be, like, hot as fucking Saudi Arabia because it's fucking Saudi Arabia. Two, like, again, travel bans. Now, right now it is just Europe, so we'll see. But I feel like we're just kind of in the opening throes of this. It's going to get worse before it gets better.
Oh my God.
But so for right now we're just talking Europe, but that may change by the time that our listeners hear this recording. But so travel concerns are a thing, and then obviously B, the actual worry about the virus itself. Like, you would be taking your performers to a country that is more or less a third world undeveloped country. So this would be, like I said, the bloodiest. So while that's an option, I don't think it's one that's really being considered. The one I think that is right now is the big consideration is the split, which would be interesting, I guess.
Let's not also take in, or forget the fact that if there is some sort of spread while the performers are there, the U.S. government may very well cut off transportation into the United States from a number of countries. Saudi Arabia could be one of them. So you can have your entire brand, essentially, in Saudi Arabia, and then there's a travel ban, and then they can't get back home.
Yep.
So not only do you have people who now may possibly contract this coronavirus stuck in, like you said, Beef, what can pretty much be considered a third world country, but your entire brand is there. So if your people are getting sick, they're not getting the proper care that they need, and they can't get back to the United States. So you've got in the United States, the only people that are left are whoever you didn't send to Mania, performer-wise, booking-wise, creative-wise, production-wise. What's that going to look like?
If people go over there and then there's a ban and they are stuck there until further notice or ad infinitum, if that happens, this is one of those things right now that WWE, along with all the other entertainment like sports, whatever. I mean, Broadway's closed, for fuck's sake. Like,
oh yeah,
like these industries they're walking a fine line right now, and that's why it is the economy and the economic impact of this is absolutely a concern. It really is, because
we've already seen it. The stock market has dropped super big, and now they're talking about putting in like 150 trillion into the economy. It's crazy.
Trust me, I know. I looked at my IRA.
Oh no!
Yeah, boy, that was.
Yeah, if you've got a 401k or an IRA, now's the time to not look at it.
Yeah, I did. I made that mistake, but I'm like, it's okay. It'll bounce back. It's fine.
But I tell you this though, this off topic of wrestling for a second. If you've got extra cash, now is the time to invest in things like airline stocks, cruise company stocks, because they're at an all-time low. And look, let's face it, while this coronavirus sucks, it's going to be one of those things where it's going to come, it's going to spread, but it's going to go away. You're not going to have a reduction of 30, 40% of your global population. That's not going to happen with this. The elderly are at risk more than anybody else.
Youth, young children as well.
From what I've read, no child under the age of 9 has shown any symptoms. They've been tested positive for it, but they've experienced no symptoms, no fever, no cough, no nothing. So that's interesting and also promising at the same time. But I'm telling you, like Tara the other day, she was like, hope you're not upset, but I bought a couple shares of Royal Caribbean stock. I'm like, no, man, I'm not upset, because those are industries that are not going to go away. When this coronavirus is gone, those industries, airlines, cruising, it's going to shoot right back up. And the people that buy those stocks now, their investment is going to skyrocket.
Fucking John Bradshaw ransom over here.
I'm telling you, we're buying, because American Airlines is at an all-time. I think they're the lowest of any airline. So American Airlines, yes. Royal Caribbean, yes. Because let's face it, those are always going to be around no matter what. So those will go back up.
Remind me to ask you a question after the podcast is over there, John Bradshaw Ransom Field.
Getting back on topic for wrestling. So WrestleMania aside, here's what really is the kick in the nuts.
Oh boy.
Yes, TakeOver for sure. But there are probably 15 to 20 indie shows that we're going to run Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
Are they all canceled?
Well, I mean, if WrestleMania is canceled, I would imagine so, because here's the thing. They depend on those tourists that are coming to town for WrestleMania to go to those shows. If those tourists that aren't going to Tampa to go to WrestleMania aren't going to be there to go to those shows, they're not going to get as widely attended. So like this is, and we've already I forget the name of it, but it was David Starr versus John Moxley. That's already at something Mania, Scotchamania. I don't remember. Anyway, it's already been it's already been canceled because of the whole flight ban thing. So, like, the much like to kind of circle it around again, much like the mom and pop shops are going to absolutely get dismantled by this whole thing. The smaller indie feds and the smaller indie wrestlers who are kind of like counting on this as a big payday are going to take a major hit. So, yeah, I mean, here's my question: if they decide to postpone WrestleMania. Let's say, for simplicity's sake, that they postpone WrestleMania, that they do like 2 days of it in June. What happens to TakeOver? Because that is something that I think everybody's looking forward to, probably more than WrestleMania.
What's NXT doing on the weekly now? Are they still holding weekly shows?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So just to kind of bring everybody up to speed on where we are with things, AEW has canceled in Rochester, New York, which was going to be probably going to be Brody Lee's debut as the Dark Order leader.
I don't think it's going to be Brody Lee.
Dude, they in the vignette last night, they actually showed a silhouette and it looked just like Brody Lee. I'm not saying it's not, but I mean It's got to be at this point, man. Who else?
Hardy.
And how else would you? Well, so maybe Hardy, but Rochester is Brody Lee's hometown or ish, and that's why they were going to do that debut next week. I feel like, or it was a great red herring. Either way. So that's been canceled, and the AEW has not said what they are planning to do yet, whether they're going to move it, whether they're going to tape it somewhere else, or whether they're just going to skip a week. But they have their big Blood and Guts show, which is War Games, coming up the next week after. So this is kind of like, a kind of a pay-per-view style event that's going to be happening. So this is kind of like a build-up for that. So they've said they're canceling, and then SmackDown tomorrow night, which again will have already aired by the time you guys hear this, is going to be held in the Performance Center with just the basic staff. So as of right now, dear listeners, Pittsburgh is still gonna have Raw in 4 days, but don't be surprised if that is no longer the case. So that's where we are currently, as of this recording. This is where we stand with everything.
This is just bonkers.
It's insane.
This is absolutely nuthouse.
And you know what? Like, as bummed as I am that Penguins hockey is gone, as bummed as I am that the XFL is gone, as bummed that I am that WrestleMania could potentially be out and Takeover could be out. It's always better to be safe than sorry. I don't know. Like, to me, I'd rather protect people, because as much as I'm not worried about it, even though I am a diabetic and I could be at a potentially higher risk, as much as I'm not worried about it, I am worried about it carrying it and then going to see my grandmother-in-law who's like in her 70s. Or I am potentially worried about going to see my dad, who's been in and out of the hospital, and he's in his 60s. So as much as I know that I'll bounce back, I want to be the guy that puts somebody else in their deathbed. So right. I get it. It's all proactive. It sucks. It sucks real bad, and it is crazy town out there. My wife went to Walmart, our Walmart, and she said it was nuts, and there was no toilet paper and no cleaning supplies. So it's bonkers, but I'd much rather people be safe.
I get it. Like, I absolutely get it. But I feel like people just need to remain calm, and they need to go about their daily lives until they are told otherwise. I really do. It's because the worst thing that you can do in any situation. What 2 words are printed on the back of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? The book. What 2 words?
Keep calm.
Don't
calm,
panic.
Right? Don't panic.
Don't panic. Like, that's the thing, is panic is never true. In these situations, I think back to the first Men in Black, whenever Kay says, a person is smart, but people are dumb, panicky animals. And that's the thing. Yeah. A person is smart, but when people get panicky, they're stupid. It's pack mentality. Yep. You know what I mean? And that's the thing, is that I'm just like, I wish people would just remain calm. Remain calm.
As much as those are sound words of wisdom, when it comes to the general public, that falls on deaf ears.
I know that. And that was the point, is like, you have to be prudent about these things. And if you do come down with COVID-19, just do what you're supposed to do. Stay home. Don't go out. If you have to, and you run out of food during your time of quarantine, just fucking call someone and say, hey, I'm ordering food. You can pay online with shit, and then just say, drop it outside my door and leave. You don't have to interact with people if you don't want to. That's the one benefit of our fucked up internet society, is that if you don't want to interact with people other than on the screen, you don't fucking have to. You know what I mean?
Fucking JBR Ransom over here with the stock tips, and Dr. Poot with the fucking, doctor advice. I feel like I'm not serving any essential role here other than a fucking like wrestling moderator, son of a bitch.
No, we need that, because if it was him and I, we would just go off on the whim of me saying, "Listen, make sure you get a lot of rest and drink water," and he'd just be like, "Bah!" And then I'd be like, "No, seriously, get a lot of rest." And
no, that's pretty much how it would break down.
But
if you think that if things start to spread like they are, and cities start saying no, we can't host these events, no. Do you? I don't know if WWE begins to cancel shows, or if they just start hosting everything in the Performance Center.
Old timey wrestling in a fucking like TV studio, man. That's how they did for years and years.
Dude, I mean, Power's going over like crazy. Like, people love it.
Are they going to bring in small crowds, or like you said, Beef? Wrestling is a different kind of animal as opposed to basketball, hockey, football. In those types of arenas, nothing is predetermined. Nothing is scripted. It's all head-to-head, physical sports. So you can do a hockey game or a basketball game, football game in an empty arena. And while it may be weird, it's not going to be detrimental to the game, because you're still going to have players fully playing those sports. But like you said, Beef, wrestling, the bulk of it depends on crowd reaction. The wrestlers feed off of that, and the crowd feeds off of the wrestlers. So if you don't have a crowd there to feed the performers in the ring, it's going to be a very, very awkward showing, I would think.
We'll see how stoic and stubborn McMahon is. I think that this is going to be where we see where the rubber meets the road. A, how much he likes his money, and B, how hard-headed he is. Because what we know of Vince McMahon is that he is as stubborn as a fucking ox. And if there is a shred of chance of him running any shows in Tampa, he's going to do it. It would be super fucking weird to do it in front of an empty arena. But, I mean, I think the old man would get his jollies because, hey, baseball's out, NHL's out, XFL's out, Major League Soccer is out. Hey, ESPN, you are not running anything. How about you give us some green and you can broadcast WrestleMania, while we broadcast it on the network. And, I mean, ESPN's going to be fucking hard up right now because there's literally nothing else.
Oh, yeah.
So if Vince is the only game in town, do you realize how much money he can make just by saying, ESPN, you pay me, or Fox, or CB, whoever, hey, because they've been talking about this whole revenue thing. Like, to me, it'd be super weird if they did it in an empty arena, but if Vince can profit from it, he's gonna. So,
if there's a network that's still willing to pay Vince to put on an empty arena or a very minimal crowd attendance arena, if there's going to be a network that will pay him to air that, I'm almost positive that he will do so.
I don't think he would do a giant empty arena. I feel like he's crazy enough that it should be in the conversation, but I don't think that he will go that far. I honestly think that he would do an empty arena if it was kind of like, you remember The Rock and Mankind had that empty arena match? I think it would be something
like a hockey stadium.
Yeah, it would be something like that, or maybe even like, put it in make it a historic thing, right? Go to the Cow Palace. You wouldn't want to take it away from Florida, I guess, but put it in a historically important wrestling arena.
Oh, hell, even Madison Square Garden is not huge.
Oh,
why not take it out of Florida? Because it's not like, again, because the people aren't coming, because you're not getting hundreds of thousands of fans into the area to spend billions of dollars, millions, I guess. why not take it somewhere else? If the entire United States is saying, why not take it to Mexico City? Why not take it to Toronto? Why not take it to Ontario?
I like how Beef's immediately like, fuck America, get it out of here. Like,
I didn't say that, but it's very clear that cities are very rapidly kind of closing their doors to these things. So if, and it's
that
the only
harkens
thing
also back to you got to be careful. Because if you take this outside the United States and some sort of travel ban happens while you're outside the United States, you better hope you're in a country that, is halfway decent, because your wrestlers and your production might be stuck there for quite some time.
Yep.
Right. Well, and this, and the other thing is, and this is my other argument with them taking WrestleMania to Saudi Arabia. Like, yeah, it's a big payday for Vince now, meaning that he's not going to have too much of a loss, but how many people is that going to alienate? The fact that he had the option to say, we'll just do it in June. And these hundreds of thousands of people who have, well, hundreds, probably about 100,000 that have their tickets in hand right now that are like, okay, well, if it gets postponed, at least we can go back some other time. They're now going to be, getting refunds, obviously, but, they'll be dejected. They'll be like, well, fuck that. And the next time WrestleMania goes to Tampa, people are going to think twice about it. Or when they go to open up that brand new fucking sparkling facility out in LA, people are going to go, oh, well, what happens if there's another pandemic? And it's going to slow sales. So I think Vince has to be very, very careful with where he steps right now.
I think regardless of what happens, there's going to be probably a big shift in creative. Because if you push WrestleMania back to June, you really have to probably rewrite months and months of planned shows, because after WrestleMania, that's when a bunch of stuff's going to happen.
He's talking like they plan things.
All right.
What a glorious title reign Goldberg would have. Can you imagine the matches? Goldberg versus Baron Corbin, Goldberg versus fucking Jimmy Uso. What a wonderful extra 3 months we get of a Goldberg title run. That'd be wonderful, right? Too bad Tom's not here to fucking blow his eyes out of his head on that.
Tom is out celebrating with the lady friend, and he immediately just throws up all over his dinner.
Yep.
Because we mentioned Goldberg.
Just this talk, somewhere his head just exploded.
Yep.
But they would have to rewrite a lot of stuff. Because you'd have to come up with something to fill the time between now and May, June, July, whenever it's postponed till, you got to fill that in with some sort of filler storyline. And I don't know what that's going to look like.
This would be the perfect opportunity for them to completely rebuild guys like, Ricochet. Like it would be a perfect time to push these guys that are miring in the mid card or not on TV at all. You could build them.
I don't think it'll happen.
That's to put you're silly, and Ransom is silly for suggesting that they. I feel like these writers punch it up on the fly every single week, and we've heard no less than a year ago about SmackDown writers handing Vince a script, him saying, nope, I don't like it, and then punching a brand new one up the day of.
Yeah.
So, this is not uncharted territory for them, but certainly they have done some long-term booking here, which is now going to have to be kind of stretched. What would be cool is that I think Money in the Bank is scheduled for May, so if they do end up rescheduling for June, which does not have a pay-per-view in it, oddly enough, even though they have 87 pay-per-views a year, June is bereft of one.
Bereft?
Ironically, maybe even, it's almost as if the fates are willing it. But conceivably, 2 Money in the Bank briefcases would be in play for WrestleMania, which would be cool to at least have that kind of
Well,
the possibility hanging over, yeah.
Right.
Man has a point.
Of course, they'll probably fuck that up. They'll probably fuck that up too. So
I wouldn't be surprised. But so, Beef, I have a question.
I have an answer.
What do you think about Jake the Snake Roberts' client being brought to light.
I love it, man. I am so prior to the G1, I was already a pretty big Archer guy. He was in Suzuki Goon, so that's already a step in the right direction.
Yep.
But in the G1, the dude showed out, and I thought to myself, man, New Japan is booking themselves a fucking monster gaijin for years to come. And then he turns around and signed an AEW contract, which is really shitty, and he'll never go to Japan again because they'll remember that. But
is that who his client is? Lance Archer?
Yeah, Lance Archer, yep. Okay. So I love it, man, because you got the mind of Jake the Snake and you got the voice of Jake the Snake, the raspy fucking, very
I've smoked
calm.
500 million cigarettes.
Very calm, but very scarily rational voice of Jake the Snake Roberts, and the absolute brutality of Lance Archer, the Murder Hawk. Forget about it, man. I would have liked to have seen it. I would have liked to have seen it get physical with Cody. I wish that Archer would have done something to Cody in that match. But it's very clear that they are sowing those seeds. So it's gonna be a slow burn, but I think it is a perfect pairing. What about you, Poot and Ransom?
Dude, I think that it's the thing for me, honestly. I've seen some of Lance Archer's work, and to have someone looking at him, you would think to yourself, what does he need a mouthpiece for? What does he need a manager for? What does he need someone like Jake the Snake Roberts for? Jake the Snake Roberts could be served better with someone who would, really truly benefit from the backing of him. However, I then thought about it, and I'm like, it just makes Lance Archer a bigger deal. It just makes him better. It just makes him more brutal. It just makes everything about him more interesting. And I think it's honestly one of those things where it's nothing but up. I think they should ride this like Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman. They should just have it be and let it ride. And then maybe eventually, if it proves to really be a barn burner and really be something that people are like, ooh, I'm standing, you have my attention, I like this, start building a little stable. Don't do the thing where all of a sudden he brings 3 people on and now it's Jake the Snake and these 4 and Lance Archer and these 3 other guys. Don't do that.
The Snake Pit.
Have it be one. Every 8 to 10 months. One person more. Someone, because I feel like that behooves someone like Jake better than just going, you three guys, come on. You know what I mean? It's he's choosing wisely, and he's choosing to build an unstoppable force, something that will bulldoze over everything that's in AEW and anything that could come to AEW. They will be the powerhouse. I think that would be super cool. But right now, as it stands, this is super great. Prior
to his, what we thought would be his debut last week, Lance Archer posted on either Instagram or Twitter or something, the Being the Elite logo, but instead, I think we talked about last week, had the red K with killing the Elite.
Yeah.
And now he's starting with Cody. I think that this is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And like I said, man, Lance Archer he's a good hand. I think he's reasonably young. So, I mean, AEW is just, right now they're just printing money. They're doing a thing with Sean Spears right now where it's Sean Spears and Tully Blanchard looking for a tag team partner for Sean Spears. And if you remember the old videos of the Nitro parties, it's very much in that vein where people are submitting videos of why they should be Spears' partner.
Oh, that's great.
And oh man, Like you have everything from like the indie wrestlers who are literally trying to get over, to people who are just like you and me that are like, well, I know a lot about wrestling and I could really be, it's insane. Like they showed about the 2 or 3 minutes of the videos last night, and I was like, oh, this is gold. The one thing that I don't want AEW to do is I don't want them to be predictable. I like that they have Cody with Arn. I like that they have Jake with Lance Archer. I like that they have Sean Spears with Tully Blanchard. But I mean, like you can't keep trotting out old guys and giving them a young stud. So they have to be very careful of that. But the old guys that they've chosen are some of the best. So so outside of like Ric Flair, whose work with Triple H's career has been discussed. These guys are going to make these younger guys even bigger stars. So I think right now everything they're doing is great.
Things are good in AEW. Now, Ransom, I have a question for you.
Okay.
You've been coming at us recently with some pretty good questions about some old school stuff. Do you have anything to throw at us this week?
No.
Oh, okay.
Really don't.
All right. I
did want to ask. I don't know a whole lot about Lance Archer. Is he a good mic work?
Passable.
He's about what you'd expect out of a big man. It's not awful, but there's certainly some room to grow.
So he has the opportunity to learn a lot about mic work.
Oh my God. Yeah, sit under the learning tree of one of the best.
Oh, no, I would argue the best.
So one thing I wanted to say about what you had mentioned about a stable, I don't want them to go the route of Paul Heyman in WWE, where Paul Heyman didn't create a stable. He just had a bunch of Paul Heyman guys. Like Ryback, he had Ryback with him, but Ryback wasn't connected to Punk or Lesnar. And then he had Curtis Axel, but Curtis Axel wasn't connected to Punk or Lesnar. Like, it was a bunch of different quote unquote clients, but it wasn't like there was no stable. I don't want them to go that route with any of these legends that they might bring in. Just don't throw them with guys just because you think like, oh, this guy could be a Jake the Snake guy, and he's completely separate from Lance Archer, but Jake's still like, they're still Jake's client or whatever. I didn't like the way they did that with Paul Heyman, and I'm hoping they don't ever go that route in AEW with any of these legends.
I don't think they will.
I think they'll probably be smarter. Or they'll have seen, like, oh, okay, this didn't work at all in WWE. We're not even going to try and replicate something like that.
The only thing, the only knock that I have on AEW creatively, because I'm, as much as a fanboy as I am, I'm also not blind to flaws. So the only thing that I'd give AEW creatively is that sometimes it's very formulaic. Like, we are fairly certain who the Dark Order guy is going to be. Like, you can pretty much know who's going to win when, and that's not a bad thing, because we get on Vince a lot for, booking himself into a inconsistency or like booking himself into a corner.
Or making just dumb calls.
Or making just dumb calls, exactly.
Yeah.
So sometimes, even though the face is going to go over, it's still the right call. So sometimes I feel like they're a bit too formulaic, but it works because they have the talent to kind of back it up. So like the fans that go to like an AEW event, I feel like are a lot more forgiving because they'll actually boo the heels. MJF, for example. People love MJF. People love to hate MJF because he is the best heel in the business. I don't care what you fucking say. No one's going to convince me otherwise that Maxwell Jacob Friedman is not the best heel in the business.
Dude, he's a fucking treasure. Absolutely.
So, people love to hate him. So him, like the fact that they know and they're like, okay, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, boo. Like that's what they're doing. They're you know, if this was WWE, I don't think that they give that same, you know, thing because, you know, people, the smarks want AEW to succeed. So they don't want to go out there and, you know, torpedo the shit out of the show. They want things to go as well as they can go. So they're going to give a little bit of leeway. But you know, that's really my only kind of ding on them. Otherwise, like their women's division started pretty slow, but it's been getting better and better as the weeks progress. And I mean, it's the best tag team wrestling on the planet. Again, I refuse to believe anything else, especially since War Raiders and the Street Profits are pulled off of NXT. They, you know, and again, nothing against NXT, but man, AEW consistently, and now we were months ago that the next title to be introduced in AEW might be a 6-man title, and it looks like it's going to be that because they're starting to build a lot of 6-man teams. Janela and Private Party, the Lucha Express, the Best Friends and Orange Cassidy, obviously the Elite being the Bucks and Omega, and now you have Death Triangle with Pac, Pentagon, and Rey Fénix.
That is to me. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but that is such a weird pairing. But it's not weird.
Works.
It's not weird bad.
It's just bizarre.
It's just weird. I would not
seems
have
random.
thought.
Yeah, it seems like spaghetti on the wall random, but like whoever threw that fucking spaghetti on the wall like made a fucking like Picasso portrait because it fucking works.
Is there a 3-man team in Jericho's crew?
Who?
In Jericho's crew, what are they called?
The Inner Circle.
Probably, yeah. Probably if so. They haven't done a 3-man group with them, but it would probably be Proud and Powerful and Sammy Guevara if I had to guess. Maybe Hager. I don't know.
Proud and Powerful and Hager makes sense.
Because Jericho and Sammy have been doing a lot of tagging themselves, which that's a great dynamic. Like on Wednesday night, Sammy came in and like Jericho gave him like a big hug when they started the match. Like it's so good.
That's the thing is that the thing I think AEW does best, really more so than WWE, is character work.
Mm-hmm.
Their character work.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Just wildly good. And I think, honestly, it's because outside of booking things, they just let the wrestlers be themselves. Like, they let them have control over, like, the personality of the fucking character. It's great. It's super great.
Yeah, that's something that WWE sorely lacks.
For sure. Sorry, Ransom, go ahead.
No, that's it. Like that was just my point. Like WWE lacks that, where AEW pretty much nails it.
Chris Jericho's been on record as saying several times that like the things that he's gotten over in WCW and WWE were basically things that he just kind of ran with. You know, the Goldberg list in the Goldberg feud in WCW
so good.
Was all him because no one cared. He was like, all right, fucking A, I'm doing it.
I'm going to shoot for the big guy.
The scarf and my God, the list. You know, these are all things that Jericho did, and then they got over, and then no one said to him because Jericho. So there's a new I don't know if it's a podcast or whatever it is, but it's Lita, Gail Kim, and Maria. No, not Maria Kanellis. The other one.
Maria Menounos.
No. The other redhead. I'm drawing a blank.
Maria
she
Kanellis.
was also in TNA. Christy Hemme.
Maria Kanellis.
They're doing like a podcast or something. But Lita said that you know it's like Jericho said, man, ask forgiveness versus permission. Like, you go out, you know, and especially in WWE, like go out, do your thing. Is that because I'm talking about Lita? Is that what
I mean, of all of them, yes. Just a smattering, yes.
Fair enough.
Oh, gross.
But go out there and do your thing. And if Vince is pissed, say, "Hey man, I'm sorry." Or if it catches fire, you don't have to apologize for a damn thing.
Yeah, just come back through the thing he's screaming at you. Go, "Sorry, broski," and walk away.
Well, that really didn't work for Matt Riddle. Poor Matt Riddle.
Well,
what happened to him? I didn't hear about that.
Well,
so this is okay. Yeah, we'll talk about that. So,
let's do this.
Is this recent?
The last couple years, he's been calling out Lesnar. He's been very vocal with saying, "I'm the guy that is going to retire Brock Lesnar." And now, Matt Riddle is a mark, and I think that's why smart. That's why I love him, because he's one of us. Like this, he has fucking shot on Goldberg about how Goldberg is nothing, how he's got no talent, blah 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 this, blah 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 that. So much so that Matt Riddle is now using a spear and a jackhammer in his matches, and while the crowd is chanting Riddle, Riddle.
Oh, that's freaking hilarious.
So Matt Riddle was in this year's Royal Rumble for less than a cup of coffee. Like it
Not
was
even.
bad.
It was about 1 minute and 5 seconds, I think.
And
I think less, actually.
Yeah, it was definitely not a full entrant.
And who eliminated him?
Was it Lesnar?
Oh, it was Baron Corbin.
It was Baron Corbin. Oh, I forgot about that. Ugh. But word on the street is that Brock Lesnar basically dressed down Matt Riddle in the back, saying, "I'm not going to do business with you. Keep your name out of my mouth. You're nothing. I'm a big star."
What?
Precisely.
No, sorry,
Giggity? I
keep your mouth out of me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So Goldberg.
Lesnar.
keep your name out of my name.
Yeah, Lesnar got in his face and was like, "Listen, man, quit talking about it because it's not going to happen. It's never going to happen." So it's not that somebody from like management did it, but like if it's coming from Lesnar, you can bet that he said something to somebody at some point about it. So it sucks.
You think he's going to get buried?
I mean, no, because him and Pete Dunne won the tag team titles. It's very clear that Triple H could give two fucks what happens on the main roster and who says what.
Absolutely.
Because he recognizes a good thing, man, and he's got a good thing with Riddle and Pete Dunne. So, the more.
I just wish that Matt Riddle, and I'm well aware of this, that of anybody he pulls it off, I just wish he would stop being so shticky. Like, the schlock drives me nuts. Matt Riddle should be a monster. He should be a docile monster. That's what he should be.
He is pretty schlocky, but it's funny at times. And look at Tom. Tom popped over the how many fish would Kyle Fish fry if Kyle Fish would fry a fish. It's so dumb, but it got Tom to pop. Tons of people are popping. So I mean, it's dumb, but if it gets people popping, then why not?
We're just like, yeah, it's stupid. Tom, you're dumb. But like, a lot of people pop. Tom, you're stupid and dumb. But whatever. Tom, fuck you. But hey, no, we love you, Tom. If you're listening, we love you.
Beef doesn't, but whatever.
No, I do, and Ransom does. Like, we're cool. We're good. You know?
We don't care what Beef thinks.
I didn't say that.
It's just
terrible.
It's just like,
I never said that. What's happening?
Yeah, I heard you say
I heard you say it too. Man, you were a
say
little
it too.
brutal on him,
It
weren't you? Yeah. Anyway,
It happened, I heard.
but that's the thing is like with Riddle, I think he knows now because like you said, he's using those in his matches. He's getting the crowd to chant that stuff. He knows how to get what he wants, and it's through the crowd because that's what happened with like it's kind of using the Bryan formula. Like get people to behind you so much that it's undeniable that you get your push.
The Riddle thing was so bad, by the way, that like they actually had a meeting, I think, the day before the Royal Rumble, and they said that NXT talent are not to be talking about main roster talent. They're not to be tweeting about main roster talent. Like that was a big thing. So like that's all because of Matt Riddle and his little jabs at Goldberg and Lesnar.
Huh.
But while we're talking about Lesnar, because you said about Lesnar and Goldberg being the same person, we got the guffaws. I want to give Brock Lesnar some props, man, because having Goldberg as a foil against him, I guess is a good way to put it, really puts Brock in a way better light. Goldberg's a dude who gives 2 fucks about wrestling. Gives 2 fucks about the business. He's there to collect a paycheck. He comes around every couple of years. Vince says, hey, Bill, can you still go? Bill goes, I don't know. Vince goes, here's a blank check. Good luck. Don't kill anybody.
Lesnar, he's walking that line.
Right?
He's trying.
Oh, he's trying, allegedly.
Wait, what?
Like the whole like Undertaker like dropping him on his head thing.
The Fiend, basically, it wasn't a jackhammer; it was just a suplex.
Slop hammer, yeah.
The slop shovel.
Yeah, man. So, but Lesnar, like, and
slop shovel.
I got a real good appreciation for this after watching his special on the Ruthless Aggression. Like, Lesnar does not dislike the business. Lesnar likes money. Lesnar likes being a private person, so he's probably not the best person to be in a wrestling ring like the fucking champion. But he likes money, but he also understands the business. He is willing to put stars over, a la Roman Reigns, a la Seth Rollins.
Have you ever gone back and watched his work with Sheldon Benjamin in that tag team? It was great.
A la Sheldon Benjamin. Like, he's willing to put these guys over because he gets it. He goes, okay, and that's where this whole McIntyre thing is happening. He's making McIntyre look like a fucking stud right now because he gets it. He goes, okay, this dude is big. This dude has a great mic presence. The crowd is into him, and he's got a big, bold move. All he needs is a signature win. And if I can do that for him, dude's going to be made in the shade. So, you know, he is very actively making Drew McIntyre look awesome. So, you know, and he's been showing up to work lately more often than not, really. So,
like in the Rumble, he looked like he was having a blast. Like, seriously, like, yeah, okay, he's being dominant, and he dominated half the field. But, like, the whole thing with Sheldon Benjamin, I laughed so hard. Like,
yeah, that was pretty funny.
It was great.
And like the whole the whole Money in the Bank thing where he comes out with like the thing on like the boom box, like that was hilarious.
The Brock party.
Yeah, like he's doing good this particular run. So I don't have a real big problem with him right now.
I got a whole new appreciation for Brock Lesnar after the Rumble. After seeing him go like he did in the Rumble, you know, everybody talks about, Brock Lobster, and, you know, he looks blown up as soon as he gets to the ring. He had a great, great showing in that Royal Rumble. You know,
and he wasn't purple at all.
No, after he had been in there for a while, you know, you can tell like he's dripping, he's drenched, he's sweating, but he didn't get sloppy. You compare him to Goldberg. You look at Goldberg, 5 minutes into the match, if that, and Goldberg is a sloppy mess. You don't see that from Lesnar. His matches are short, yeah, but when he's in the ring for a long time, he doesn't get sloppy. The longer he's in there, the longer he goes, he's still as crisp as the moment he gets in that ring, which is, a testament to him.
Hey, he wasn't a couple years ago. When he first came back, he wasn't. But he's you can tell he's gotten himself in ring shape.
Oh, yeah.
As they say.
Yeah. But I think that harkens back to the whole, like, he cares about the business, where Goldberg doesn't. Goldberg's like, well, if I look sloppy, who cares? As long as you're signing my paychecks, I don't really care.
Yep. It's sad. And I think, honestly, Lesnar could think he could probably go. I think Lesnar could go like 30 minutes, legitimately.
I bet he could.
And still look crisp and still look clean.
Well, how long was he in the Rumble this year?
Probably about 30 minutes, yeah, for legit. Him having short, and he's had longer matches with AJ and with Finn Balor. Like, the shorter matches with Brock Lesnar are by design, because they want whoever beats Lesnar to be the guy. And they never pulled the trigger on Roman Reigns. Even when Roman Reigns, quote-unquote, beat him in Saudi Arabia, it's because of a fluke thing with the cage. You know? It's not because Roman Reigns beat him, it's Lesnar beat himself. So, to me, if they make McIntyre that guy that's going to beat Goldberg, and I thought it was going to be Rollins at WrestleMania last year. It kind of was, but he still had that whole thing where it was basically like a hardcore match for 5 minutes and kicked him in the dick like 7 times. Like, it still wasn't as clean as I would like it.
Yeah.
With McIntyre,
it didn't elevate
I think,
him.
Right. With McIntyre, I think it's gonna. And I think the whole fucking 5 people in attendance in Raymond James Stadium are going to blow the roof off the place because you know, when he wins that title, it's going to be a historic moment.
My hope
that I think we'll talk about for a long time.
Yeah, my hope with the Drew McIntyre Brock Lesnar match is that I'm hoping that A, I'm hoping Drew McIntyre wins, and B, I'm hoping he wins by looking dominant, not by doing something underhanded. I don't want to see a weapon. I don't want to see low blows. I know you had sang Seth Rollins' praises about that match, like, oh, he did what he had to do, or he blah blah blah, whatever. I'm hoping that I always blank on his name. Damn it, the Scot.
McIntyre.
Oh, jeez, I don't know why I can't remember that name. I'm hoping that McIntyre wins the match legit without a slimy move, a weird finish, a weapon being brought in. If he chucks Lesnar into the steps, so be it. That doesn't mean anything anymore. But I hope it's a good dominant win.
And I think he will.
I don't think it would do him justice if there was some sort of like, oh, he kicked him in the dick and then he played more kick. Like, yeah.
Looking back, I think last year maybe Lesnar didn't buy into Seth Rollins. Maybe because again, and yes, again, a lot of this comes from watching the Ruthless Aggression episode about Brock Lesnar and the way that Paul Heyman talks about him. But maybe Lesnar didn't see the money in Seth Rollins, which, surprise, surprise, dude flamed out by SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Lesnar was right. And so maybe what happened last year was Lesnar protecting his, saying, okay, I'll put Seth Rollins over, no problem, but I want to make sure that, this quote-unquote little guy, has a reason to beat me. Whereas Drew McIntyre has put him on his ass more than I can remember. And
it's legit, though. You believe it.
Exactly.
Looking at Drew McIntyre, you can buy in and believe it. Yes.
Exactly. And I think that's Lesnar's thing as well, that he wants to, because Ransom, you've mentioned it several times about a little guy beating a big guy is just far-fetched sometimes. Like, the underdog story is great, but sometimes it's hard to buy.
Yeah, if you have a chance to listen to or watch the Broken Skull sessions that Stone Cold did with the Big Show, the Big Show even says something like that. Like, well, why am I getting in the ring with this guy? And I'm 3 times this guy's size. Why would I take a bump for him? If you look at it legitimately, why would the Big Show take a bump for someone like Ricochet? If you're legitimately looking at it, the Big Show should be able to pick up Ricochet with one hand and throw him into the 5th row of the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying anything disparaging about Ricochet. I'm just saying, like, I get it. Kayfabe is dead, but I think there needs to be a little bit of kayfabe in the fact of, like, size does matter. No pun intended. Size does matter in the caliber of these wrestlers. Like, you can't put somebody like Rey Mysterio against the Big Show and put Rey over clean. It doesn't make sense. No one's going to buy. No matter how much of a fighter, no matter how much of an underdog Rey Mysterio is, to get the win over someone like the Big Show, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And that's why I didn't like it when he got the win over JBL. JBL was huge. He's a brawler. He could knock Rey Mysterio's head off with his pinky finger. You're going to put Rey Mysterio over JBL? No.
I feel like JBL's a little more believable than someone like the Big Show or Brock Lesnar.
Agreed.
More believable, yes, but I still don't buy into it. I can see somebody the size of Ricochet beating JBL. You've got high impact, flight moves and things like that. But there needs to come a point where it's like, hey, we're not going to book a match between this tiny dude and this big ass guy because it doesn't make sense.
And that's why. And you know what I really feel bad about, and it just popped into my head. If Mania does get all super fucky, or they do an empty arena, oh man, you got to feel like, I mean, it's going to be great when McIntyre wins that belt, but man, as a wrestler, you got to think like, man, you just wait for that crowd reaction and that looking out into the audience and everything. And if he has to play to an empty house, I don't know if you guys have ever done something like that, but I'll tell you what, I have played my fair share of empty house shows. It's no fun because you still have to pretend.
Empty house every week on this podcast.
What?
Oh.
Hey, I'm
news.
He'll be here all week. News. Try the veal, except on Friday.
AEW is moving Dynamite this week to Jacksonville to Daly's place to basically the home arena.
Oh.
So there's that. Right? Yeah, me too. I like that venue a lot.
Yeah,
they've
cool.
done the homecoming event there, and then they did the one really good pay-per-view that was free, Fight for the Fallen. They did that there, yeah. So it's a cool little venue. So yes.
Hang on, real quick. Before you get into that, Beef, I want to agree with Poot on that real quick. Is that I think postponing Mania is the best idea, because I like what you said there, Poot, about you want McIntyre's win over Brock to be in an arena filled with people, because you want that massive crowd reaction. It's going to mean a hell of a lot more getting that big crowd reaction than it would be in either a small arena, with 100 or 200 people, or an empty arena. Like, that's not going to do justice to Drew McIntyre, and that's not going to help him.
Agreed.
But getting back to the big guy, small guy thing, we have to, so kayfabe is not dead as long as Maxwell Jacob Friedman lives.
What? You're cutting out there, Cowboy.
In one brand.
You cut out there. I lost that entire sentence.
Kayfabe will always be alive as long as MJF is around.
Yes, sir.
But all that being said, we have to remember that wrestling is at times, and has been referred to even from myself, is a soap opera for men. We watch it, we get pulled in because of stories, because of great underdog stories. Sometimes the giant does get slayed. Now the problem is that it happens far too often. That's where the problem lies. It should happen like once every maybe 3 to 5 years, if that. But we see it on a much more rampant base, that it now kind of becomes the norm versus the exception. That when they start the feud with Rey Mysterio versus The Big Show, we expect at the end of it that Rey Mysterio is going to come out because he's the good guy. So I think you still have to have a little bit of suspension of disbelief, because it is all, a very finely tuned act. And, there's never been a good book written or a good movie, unless it's like part of a trilogy or whatever, that ends with the bad guy winning. Even though he probably would in real life, it just does not make for a compelling story that people can get into. So, but I because otherwise the other option is look at fucking Andre the Giant. Andre the Giant lost like 2 or 3 times in his career. You can't. I don't think feasibly you can have people run roughshod over rosters like that anymore. Even Lesnar has lost here and there. So
I agree with that to an extent, but I agree with what you said, that it needs to be years in separation between, a little guy taking down a giant. Because at that point it means more. It means less if it happens more often. Like, it doesn't mean anything at that point. Like, oh, Rey Mysterio beat Big Show. Yeah, Rey Mysterio beat Big Show, whatever. You lose the mystique, and I don't know, you lose something in that.
I get it. I mean, I get it. But we went on a hot roll so far, guys.
Yeah, that was a tirade. Hey, does anybody do we want to do hot take trivia this?
We can. I am prepared.
I want to ask Ransom. I want to
Shit.
ask Ransom.
All right. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, honestly,
Beef
this
gets
is
all
probably going to be.
silence and then sad. He's like,
Oh,
I mean, this is probably going to be something that you're going to get real easy, Poop, but that's okay.
I mean, Poot can ask me, and Beef can ask me, and then I can ask Poot or Beef, as long as someone's okay with not answering a question. I don't care how we do it.
I won't answer a question.
No,
That's
no.
fine.
No, it's cool. It's cool. Yeah, we can do Poot asking Ransom. I'll ask Poot, and Ransom can ask me.
Okay.
He's so sad.
Shut up,
Who
you.
wants to kick it off?
Sad. I will.
Go for it.
Ransom, what is the name of Brock Lesnar's opponent at WrestleMania this year?
Is it Juventud Guerrera?
The Juice.
The Juice?
No.
The Juice is loose?
Some jabroni named Juventud.
Oh.
The Mexicools.
Oh.
Oh, so dumb.
The Mexican Bumblebee. What was that? Super Crazy.
Whenever he took his mask off at the ECW One Night Stand.
Oh, that was a shame.
Yeah. He was not. He was hastily put together.
Yeah.
You're thinking of Psychosis.
Oh, yes, I am thinking of Psychosis.
Is the one that has the super long face and is like, oh man,
Yeah,
what happened to
yeah.
you? And
Like I said, he looks like he looks like a Norman Rockwell painting that was kept out in the sun too long.
He's not a good looking dude.
No.
Was that your legit question?
Yeah, that's my legit question.
Who's Brock Lesnar's opponent?
Yeah.
Drew McIntyre.
Okay, good. Because earlier you're like, I can never remember his name, and I just wanted to
I
do
see what
that.
you did there. Oh,
Yeah, that
You
was the
sneaky
lawls
bastard.
for it, Beef. Like it that
Sneaky
legit.
boy.
I was
The
like,
lulz.
he won't
Nice.
he won't remember. He won't remember.
fair enough. All right, go ahead, Ransom.
okay. Beef, I want you to name for me this wrestler. We'll see how many clues I have to give you before you get it. A 3-time WWE Tag Team Champion. A 1-time WWE WWF European Champion. A 1-time WWE United States Champion. A 17-time WWE Hardcore Champion.
Oh,
Hold on. Stop right there. Tag team hardcore
Gilbert.
United States. United
Gilbert.
States is what's throwing me.
AJ Miles.
Let me give you another one.
One more.
The 10th Grand Slam Champion.
Oh. Fuck. Is it?
He's the 12th Triple Crown Champion.
You have me legit. I mean, at first I was thinking JBL, but I don't think it's him because wait, it might be JBL. No, because he was not 17-time hardcore champion.
One of his ring names was Bad Santa.
Oh God.
Bad Santa?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I need another clue.
Another one of his ring names was Vampiro Americano. He's also a 1-time Slammy Award winner.
Wow. This is a good
Who
question.
the fuck are you talking about? It's not Canyon. I mean, Canyon was never a hardcore champion. Oh my
better,
God.
though? Who better?
Stuart P. Fokker. Give me another one.
Let's see.
Oh my God, he's out of clues.
No, I'm out of clues.
Okay.
He won an award for the worst television announcer. That should hopefully narrow the field a bit. Or maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
Was it Taz?
It is not Taz. He was trained by Brad Reingas. Reingas. RHEINGANS. Reingans.
I don't know.
He was also trained by Black Bart.
Was it JBL?
It is JBL.
Wow.
I'll be damned.
Son of a bitch.
I thought 17-time hardcore champion.
I think that was also during the time where the hardcore champion was defended 24/7.
Right.
So some of those reigns might have been some of those like
30 seconds.
wacky, like, oh, I won it this night. Oh, then I lost it to this guy.
Yeah, but
Oh, then I won it back.
even still, like, he was there at the tail end of that reign because I remember he had the custom belt made. It was like an actual title and had the stupid, like, bullhorns on it. Oh, wow. Because that was my initial thought, was as soon as you said about the tag team and the United States champion, I'm like, oh, man, it sounds like JBL, but, there you go.
Yes, sir.
All right, Poot. So
B.
it's a little bit of a softball. It's not quite what you gave Ransom, but it's a little bit of a softball. So a couple parter. I haven't decided how many parts. Probably 3 or 4. So WrestleMania is right now up in the air. We as of right now, it is scheduled to go on, but we'll see. This is not the first time that WrestleMania has been up in the air. There was a WrestleMania that had to change its venue. What WrestleMania was it?
Oh, my. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't have gotten this one.
Wasn't that because it was over-attended? They had to move it? Like it was oversold?
Nope.
Oh, it was undersold.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this was an earlier Mania.
It was.
Did they have to move it because it was undersold? Or is there a different reason?
That's one of my that's one of my questions, but the jury is still out on that.
I know this was an oddball one. It wasn't like a big, like it wasn't like a historic WrestleMania where like we talk about like for various reasons WrestleMania, 10, 12, 20, what wasn't 19, like it wasn't that kind of stuff. I'm gonna go with. I feel like it was before it was. I'm going to go with 7.
You are right. It was WrestleMania 7.
Now, I can't remember what venue it changed to.
That's what was going to be my next question. Where was it supposed to be, and where did it end up going?
That I don't know. I will flat out tell you. I know it moved from like an arena, like a large arena, to a smaller like convention center.
Yep, that is accurate. That's close enough. What was the main event of that WrestleMania?
Oh, jeez. Mania 7.
Yep.
Is this one of those ones?
Slaughter one, was it?
Is this one of the ones that I'm going to kick myself? Like if I don't get it
at this point, probably.
That absolutely was not That wasn't Hogan Warrior.
Nope, that was WrestleMania 6, my friend.
That was the year before. Well, I
Ultimate
know
Challenge.
it was Hogan. It was Hogan.
It was always Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
It's Hogan somebody.
Hogan Savage?
Hogan, I'm trying to think back to that time.
Hogan Savage was 5, by the way. Mega powers explode.
Oh.
Hogan, so it went Hogan Savage, Hogan Warrior, and then Hogan. It wasn't Hogan Hart. Hart wasn't a big enough deal at that point.
Oh, my goodness. I will tell you that Hogan was not the champ coming in.
Oh, it was Hogan Slaughter.
It was, in fact, Hogan versus
Hogan Slaughter.
Yes,
That's right.
That's why I said if you don't get it now, you're gonna kick yourself because Ransom literally just said it.
Whoops.
All right. So,
was that because of the whole Iraq war gimmick?
Yep. And that was going to be the final question. So it was supposed to be. I mean, you guys have been nailing it. I thought it was going to be a real easy one, but good job, guys. So it was supposed to be held in the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, which I think is where USC plays. I think it's also where the Rose Bowl is held. Or the Rose Bowl, I don't know, but it's a big stadium, like a big college football stadium, and they moved it. They said because of concerns about security, because of Sergeant Slaughter being an Iraqi sympathizer, they were worried that someone was going to try and act on it. In reality, the tickets were not selling good at all, so they made the decision to move it. According to Bruce Pritchard, he said that both statements are accurate. He said that there was security concerns, but that the tickets were not moving like they should have been. But yes, Hulk Hogan vanquished the Iraqi sympathizer, and the Stars and Stripes prevailed that day.
That's fucking crazy. What a for the time, what a controversial gimmick and what a controversial storyline.
Well, at least Slaughter didn't get the Muhammad Ali treatment.
Yeah, right.
Oh, Powerbomb. Some say he's still laying under that stage till this day.
He might
to
be.
his credit, man, Vince has some balls sometimes. He pulls some stuff out.
No. He has grapefruits. Let's get this straight.
No, that's fair.
Come on, B.
That's fair. He pulls some stuff out that is very controversial. Let's remember the limo blowing up the week before Chris Benoit went crazy and killed his family and himself. Contained Mr. McMahon. So
that is still one of my biggest what ifs in wrestling is what if Chris Benoit wasn't a crazy dickhead and killed himself and his family? Where was that storyline fucking going?
Yeah, right. I've always wanted to know that. How are they going to bring back the Mr. McMahon character?
I mean,
because they would have had to.
Maybe they wouldn't have. You would think.
So what? Vince doesn't appear on TV ever again.
I mean, best for business,
Ooh.
But the problem is then they have to for fucking perpetuity they have to refer to him as deceased and play that fucking charade from now until the end of time.
Mm-hmm.
So it certainly would have been a jump the shark moment for sure. But we all know that Paul London did it. Based upon the grin and the beard. The grin and the beard, because you just can't trust a man with a beard.
Oh, Paul.
Hey, real quick. I've watched a lot of the WWE Network as of late. They're the Ruthless Aggression specials, which are out of this world. I've talked about before. They're taking a hiatus until season 2 or 1.5, whatever, in the fall. But it ended pretty good today on this week's episode, talking about the brand split, which is pretty cool. But I also started to watch the FCW story. And
that's cool.
Yes,
that's super cool.
the it's definitely like through rose-colored glasses for sure, and like the winners of history are definitely like writing the book because there was no mention of Jack Swagger whatsoever.
Oh.
Which is weird because in the episode of Ruthless Aggression they were all up on Chris Jericho's nuts all over the place. So, but that notwithstanding, the Ruthless Aggression thing and the FCW thing really has me kind of like intrigued with the stuff that they're doing. That's really kind of like behind the curtain, like 100%, like 100% they're admitting that kayfabe is dead, and the FCW one is really cool because they show you some like promos of when they first started, some of the initial gimmicks that they had, some of what they were working with. You could hear Dusty coaching them up sometimes, and they talk about people who failed.
Like
and
that one guy who kept doing the same promo over and over and over.
Oh, what was this shtick? And you'll deal with that, or you'll learn to deal with that at the end of every program.
Breaking a sweat.
Without breaking a sweat. So
Who was
like,
that?
just some random fucking dude. Like, and here's the thing: the dude looked like he was money. It looked like he was charismatic. He looked like he was built really well. I wonder if Dusty just got tired of shit promos and tossed them. Like,
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. Well, he wouldn't listen. That's the problem.
Right. He refused to grow. Exactly. Even though, as we all know, in reality, wrestling is about finding your catchphrase and sticking with it until it's done to death. Yes, being a prime example. But, Dusty wanted them to learn chops. And the other thing was that was really cool that they kind of talked about, and I only got about halfway through it, but they were talking about Tom Pritchard, and Tom Pritchard would always say that he would always want them to do an hour Broadway match because while they will probably never wrestle an hour-long match in their lives, there's always a chance that they will. So he wants to make sure that they have that ability before doing it. So it's really cool that they kind of pull back the curtain and kind of show you what NXT was before it was NXT. Seth Rollins comes off like a huge entitled douchebag. He's
he's like, well, I had the pedigree coming in.
Right, exactly. He's like, well, there weren't a lot of wrestlers there from the independent scene. There were a lot of bodybuilders and models. And like, okay, man, like we get it. You were on fire in Ring of Honor before you signed. Great. But, like, there's no reason to fucking thumb your nose down at everybody else. So
yeah, but I mean, you got to understand, dude, if you go in somewhere and you're effectively a seasoned vet and you have the ring chops and you know all that stuff and you come in and all of a sudden people go like, hey, this is the first time for these people in the ring and they're already getting a shot and you've been busting your ass on the indies for 5 years, honing your craft and all your abilities, and these people are getting a shot because of the way they look. Wouldn't you be a little bitter?
Yeah, but where has that bitterness got them, though? I mean, you look at
top
Big
of the
E,
mountain. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
You look at Big E, who is exactly what he was kind of talking about, a weightlifter who had very little experience, versus Seth Rollins. Big E's had a nice career. It's true, but Rollins has been hot shot to the top of the card for the last 7 years. So to me, yeah, you can show up and be bitter and all that, but then in retrospect, don't show up, don't be fucking clowning about it. Yeah, you did your time and you were an indie guy, but at the end of the day, because you were an indie guy, it's very clear that they appreciated that, and that's where he got. They even showed a clip of Dean Ambrose cutting a promo, which fucking floored me.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
So,
that was a little weird.
But yeah, I mean, if that one's a little bit of a longer watch. That one's an hour. Like I said, I'm about halfway through it. So if you get time, check that out as well. So there you go. Ransom's giving you stock tips. Poot's giving you doctoral advice, and I'm telling you what to watch on the WWE Network. So
effectively,
you
you're the only one who's doing the job of this podcast.
Shut up! Stop! No,
all right. Well,
don't call attention to it,
boys. Boys, what do you say we wrap this up in a burrito and get out of here?
Yeah, man. Put some rice and beans on that bastard. Let's go.
All right, Beef. You want to do the honors?
I'd love to. Hey, real quick, we want to thank our sponsors, though. Tiger Mom Tom and Casual Gaming Dad on Facebook, YouTube, the Twitch machine, all over the place. Casual Gaming Dad is running wild now that he has the Xbox, the PlayStation, the Switch. He's getting all kinds of play. So give him a look. I'm pretty excited for when he gets Final Fantasy VII Remake because I'll be glued into that.
It's like the Goldberg of the video game.
Oh, you just killed him. He's dead now. Now we're back to a 3-man team.
He's going to show up on my doorstep at 3 a.m. with a. What did you say? What was that? What am I like?
And Ransom's going to be like, Tom, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Fucking kidding me?
I'm going to be standing there in my underwear and be like, if you don't spear me, I'm going back to bed.
And then. Speaking of spearing, I got nothing from it. We definitely want to thank Sean Tischler and what he's done to with Clearfield and IWC and bringing a truly great product. I mean, if you haven't seen the IWC show, check out some of their stuff online. Join the IWC thing, the network, and check out some of their older stuff because again, like we harp it all the time, but like you're seeing future talent that's going to be somewhere. In a few years. So, you get out there, appreciate it. That's Saturday, April 25th, Pootmas Eve. Get out there and come experience the awesomeness for yourself. And there's going to be a cage.
Oh, boy.
So yeah, we've had a lot of fun tonight speculating. And, as I'm sure that everything has changed by now and will continue to change, we will continue to speculate for probably the next 3 weeks. But it's been a lot of fun. So thanks to my boys here, Mr. Alec Ransom, and yes, your reigning, defending, undisputed cruiserweight champion of the world, Poot the Bard.
No, excuse me. Hold on. I'm sorry. That doesn't befit your cruiserweight champion. Ransom, if you would, kindly.
Absolutely. Like Beef said, Beef the Legend, Alec Ransom, and I am the advocate for the reigning, defending, undisputed cruiserweight champion, where the belt belongs. It's home at home, Poot the Bard.
Baby. Beef, thank you for the good outro, joking aside. Ransom, thank you for the perfect outro. Definitely serious. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. And stay away from that COVID-19.
Ugh.